Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome to my channel. If you're new and if you're not, komeva. My name is filcofilms, and because Halloween is right around the corner, I thought what would be a better time than now to bring out part 5 of my Haunted Italy series. Can you believe it's already been 7 months since the last episode? And if you want to check out my previous episodes, there is a playlist on my channel, so grab a snack, relax, let's get spooky because it's about to get dark. Now, today's Haunted Italy episode takes place in a small town called Voltri in the province of Genova. It's a tiny town of about 12,000 people on the Ligurian coast in northwestern Italy. Overall, pretty inconspicuous, but it is known for its dark past. And there's a specific road that runs through the town and into the hills that locals always think twice about driving up. To give you some context, back in the 18th century, Voltri was a pretty important town because of its strategic location. Because it is situated on the coastline, it was a town that was often used to pass through to get from the sea to inland and vice versa. Merchants and tradesmen would make their way back and forth through the town, often traveling up and down a road called Via dei Giovi. Now, the dense foot traffic in the daytime brought demand for business along the road, and one by one, inns started to appear so that they could profit from the passers-by and accommodate them with warm food and an overnight stay when needed. Well, those that could afford one, at least. In the 1750s, one specific inn opened its doors to travelers. A small building on the side of the road with a nice view of the countryside around the back of it. The inn was exactly what you'd expect it to be. A cozy but simple dining space that offered nice warm stews and some rooms to accommodate guests, a couple of which were more luxurious, situated at the back of the building for a quieter night's sleep off the roadside. It was family run as well, like many other inns along that same road, but what happened on the inside was far from ordinary. You see, as guests came and went on their travels, the owners of this particular inn would carefully inspect them. Were they carrying valuable goods? Were they dressed in rags or expensive, well-tailored clothing? Were they well-spoken? These were all factors that pointed towards the traveler's wealth. And if they happened to tick enough boxes, they had the misfortune of being checked in to one of the more luxurious rooms around the back of the building, which wasn't at all good news for them. I mean, as a wealthy traveler, you wouldn't expect any less. A quiet room at the back with a beautiful countryside view, plenty for a good night's sleep to then continue your journey the next day, but little did they know that these rooms were rigged. You see, it irked the family that so many of the guests were so well off. They also wanted a slice of the cake, and running an inn like that was never going to cut it, so they had to get creative. They went to the extent of installing fake ceilings in the nicer rooms, and in the middle of the night, when their carefully selected guests were fast asleep, the heavy ceiling would quietly lower onto them and suffocate them with the weight by pressing them into their pillow and mattress. This muffled all of their distressed sounds and kept the crime scene completely clean, so the family could then sneak in and take all of the valuable goods that they left behind. I have to warn you, what happens next is much, much darker, so here's your trigger warning. The family's frugal attitude made them go one step further, and what they did with the bodies was nothing short of horrific. Meat was expensive at the time, and very sought after by those who could afford it, so it wasn't easy for the inns to keep up with demand, and they saw an opportunity. It was a quick decision to make, and the good parts of the body would be kept to feed to the guests, and the bad parts, they were ditched in a pit behind the inn. But little did this family know that this little game that they were playing was exactly what would end up giving them away. Legend has it that one night, a French doctor was making his way up Via dei Giovi, and while he was chomping down his meal at the infamous inn, he made a discovery that probably saved his life. The man bit onto something a little too chewy for his liking, and as he pulled it out of his mouth to inspect it, he came to the realization that it wasn't beef or pork at all, but rather what he found to be the remains of a human finger. After this incident, the inn was quickly shut down. The family was arrested and all of them were sentenced to death, putting an end to any further brutal crimes. Nobody knows exactly how many guests were killed and robbed during the time of the inn being open, but it could have been anywhere from 50 to 100, if not more. Now, after the grim truth around this inn was brought to light, word spread very quickly around the area. People told stories, and quickly the building gained a reputation and remained completely abandoned for almost 2 centuries, until just after the Second World War. Heavy bombings around that area rendered many people homeless and in desperate need for shelter. So one family decided to chance their luck and settle into the abandoned property. It wasn't long before, during the night, they started hearing furniture moving by itself, glass shattering on the floor, and hearing muffled sounds coming from some of the rooms in the house. This all made them feel uneasy, but nothing was quite disturbing enough to make them leave the property for good. Not until one very specific incident. Late one night, the squatters heard a knock on the door, and they were surprised to find a young woman, dressed all in white, crying on their doorstep. She was desperately looking for her husband. There was nothing they could do, and they didn't understand a lot of the things she was describing. An inn in the area, a wealthy merchant traveling by. They weren't aware of there being an inn for miles, so they were forced to turn her down. And while she turned to walk away, she just vanished and left a strong scent of roses behind her. Now, they weren't scared or harmed in any way, but they were 100% certain that they had just witnessed something eerily paranormal. After this event, the squatters just left. They couldn't bear it anymore, and the building was abandoned once again. This was the first paranormal happening of many that would continue to haunt the area to this day, with multiple drivers today claiming they have many times been stopped in their tracks while driving up Via dei Giovi, and in the dead of night seeing human figures appear in the middle of the road holding their hands up, almost as if warning to turn away before vanishing back into the forest. The building today still stands, and the road still sees the odd passerby from time to time. But for the people that live in Voltri, the history of the place is still very much alive. And the old inn is frequently referred to by the locals as the House of Spirits, or La Casa Delle Anime. Now that concludes this episode of Haunted Italy. I hope it gave you guys a little bit of a spook. To be honest, it's a little more urban legend than my previous episodes, which tend to be a bit more on the factual side. But hey, every story is grounded in some form of truth. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments below if there are any places near where you live that are supposedly haunted. I love that kind of stuff. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to smash the like button down below and follow me on social media to catch me when I'm not posting on YouTube, which is every single Sunday. Also subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell icon down below to be notified every single time I post a new video. My name is filcofilms, and I will catch you next week. Happy Halloween, guys.